Hello and welcome back to another part of Design Your Own Level tutorial. So in the previous tutorial what we did is we set up our chair completely. I did just move a few things around a bit, so I did move that area down slightly. And then I also added like this little piece to kind of like just, that is a piece that you use for your chair to go up and down if you want to adjust it. So I believe everything is now at the point where I want it to be for UV unmapping. Now, a few things to note that just with this leg piece over here, this is going to be slightly difficult to UV map. The reason for that is actually just because of these areas here. So let me just quickly hide this. And mainly what we can try and do is we can try and merge these together so that we can just like merge them at the center. So we can just get like a more uniform, okay, I selected too many of them at the same time. So we could just get our model to be a little bit more uniform and not have unnecessary edges, because this actually does cause a lot of texture banding or just distortion on your texture if you're going to use one, and it's not going to look good. So we didn't do it before, so we're just quickly going to run through it. So it's just another tedious process as before, as with one of the previous videos I showed you. So we want to repeat this process up at the top with these, those, and at the bottom with these as well. So this kind of looks like the umbrella logo from Resident Evil, but yeah, let's just ignore that. If you want to put an Easter egg like that in your game, you're more than welcome to. So I am just going to put all of these to the center. I'm going to just skip through this video, so I'll see you as soon as it is done. Alright, so there we go. Everything has been fixed properly. It looks slightly better. As you can see, even the bottom piece, it was causing a lot more distortion than what it is now. So that looks significantly better. So what we can do now is, I first just want to see how this is going to UV unwrap if we just use like the Smart UV Project. The reason why I'm doing this is because, once again, think of it as this is not a very important part of your model. It will not be seen a lot. You're probably not going to use a texture on it. You're just going to use like a reflective material on this. So to actually have a lot of UV space for this particular section over here might be completely unnecessary. So let's just split off this area over here. And I'm just going to go to the UV image editor. And to be honest, that is not too bad. As you can see, those are the sides of the legs over there. Those are like the in-between parts, like these ones over here. And I don't believe it's those ones over there. I think it's actually more like the little corners and curves that we have over there. And then this is the top and the bottom. It looks like a starfish. So I'm actually quite happy with the way that this looks. And once again, it all really depends on you yourself, what you want to use it for. We are going to apply a separate material to this piece over here. So the way it is set up in this UV image editor is actually ideal for what we want to use it for. But now what we're going to do is we just actually need to add the other parts to it as well. So I need to add that part, so I hid it away. As you can see, it's this one over here. And okay, well, I think that also tried to do the UV project and that doesn't quite work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the numpad / key. Actually, let's hide all of this. And I'm going to just like select one edge by holding Alt and right clicking. Select the top, the bottom, and I think that should be fine. Let's do a seam. We're going to mark a seam, and then we're just going to unwrap. And that looks pretty good. It does have like a slight curve to it over there. I'm not too concerned about that. Let's actually see if we could do it angle based. It made it slightly better. It's okay. Once again, we're not going to apply a texture to it, so we can straighten it out by scaling this on the y-axis to make sure that it's at least nice and straight on at least one of them, and then I can just like scale it down and move it. And I'm going to unhide this and then just see where that ends up. So it's a larger portion, so it should actually cover more UV space, but because we're not really going to use it all that much, that should be fine. Actually, I think we can take all of these that we have over here, and we can like literally just maybe move them over there. Take this, move it around about there, and then we got slightly more space so we can scale. Let's just make sure we select the one. We can scale this out. There we go. Alright, so that is essentially the bottom of the chair piece complete. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I'm mentioning this once again. The UV maps do not look ideal, but for what we are using it for, it is perfect. So if you want to leave a comment about how terrible my UV maps are, I know they're terrible. They are intentionally made like this, but to just show how much detail you can actually get by just doing the basics. Okay, so now what I want to do is I just want to unwrap this one wheel. I'm just going to center it. And actually, if we just click unwrap, that does nothing. Smart UV project. That's actually not that bad. This has got the bottom piece, it's got the side piece. Okay, so I'm actually quite happy with that. So I'm going to use that unwrap for this. But I want to join these together first. And then we can see, alright, there we go. So we need to take this, sorry, that's just my phone. And I'm just going to scale this down, because we don't need a lot of detail for it. And I'm going to place it somewhere over there. But now the other wheels, once again, I'm just going to ignore them. I'm going to delete them. The reason why I'm deleting them is because we UV unwrapped one of the wheels. What that basically means is that if I duplicate this one, that UV map will be covered across all the others. So let's just do this. I'm going to duplicate it, P to separate the selection, and then I'm just going to once again just rotate by this 72 degrees as we did before. So let's just Shift D, rotate 72, Shift D, rotate 72, Shift D, rotate 72. Okay, now we've done this process a couple of times, but the reason why we did it this time was because now if we select every single one, you'll see that it actually shares the same UV space as these ones, which should be 100% fine. There should be no issues with that. So we're just going to select everything and then just hit Ctrl J to join it. So now finally our entire leg piece that we have over here has been set up and joined together. It's completely UV unwrapped, and now we can get to the second part of this, which is to UV unwrap the top piece. So let's just go out of that view. So we're going to UV unwrap this piece. We're basically going to follow the same method with the sides over here. We're going to UV unwrap this side, and then delete these two, and then just copy them over so that they kind of like, so that we can get like the uniform UV map or a shared UV map. Alright, so what we're going to do with this piece then is, because essentially this entire top piece will be joined, but we are going to separate most of these out so that we can use different materials on them. Now, I haven't actually touched up on something like texture masking yet, regarding this, but I will leave most of that for like when we completely finish with the entire video, because the way I'm using materials, it might not be ideal, but I will cover that at like the complete end of this tutorial series. Okay, so what we're going to do here now is essentially I am just going to take this top piece first. I'm going to deselect everything, hold Alt and right click so that it actually goes completely down the center. Control E, I'm going to mark a seam, and I'm going to just do a normal UV unwrap. You can see, well, let's try and do this conformal. Okay, well, we're getting that error again about it not having a uniform scale. So before we go any further, let's actually apply scale to every part of our model. Okay, and let's try this again. Alright, so you see that actually came out pretty good. That's ideal for what we want to do. If we might want to apply a completely different material to this, or a texture, so we're going to need a lot of decent UV space. So I actually like the way that that came out. And then we can just actually repeat the process. I can't recall UV unwrapping this, but okay. Essentially the same process. We're going to select the middle piece, and we're going to hold Alt and right click, hit Control E, and we'll mark a seam, and then UV unwrap. See, that kind of looks a little bit weird, so let's see if we change it to angle based. Angle based looks slightly better, so that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to take this piece over here as well, and I'm going to do that again along the side. I'm going to hit Control E, mark a seam. Then I'm just actually going to, for now, completely delete this part over here, and this part over here as well, and these two little ones, because we're UV unwrapping this one and we're UV unwrapping this one. We don't need those others currently inside of our model. So there we go, UV unwrap. The angle based method worked again. And then we're going to do this. This one doesn't really have a centerpiece, so we're going to select like the piece just on, no, let's say just below, or where we judge the centerpiece to be. Control E will mark a seam and do the same thing. That's the cushion. And then I don't think I actually showed in one of the previous videos, but I created like just this metal piece at the bottom, and we're going to UV unwrap this as well. Actually, for the most part, what we will probably never see this top piece over here, so I actually think I'm just going to select all of these and delete the faces. And then I'm going to select the top, Control E, mark a seam, and then UV unwrap and see, okay, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. And then we have two more things to unwrap, which is a little cross beam over here, which is essentially just a cube that I extruded and made it look like that. If we do an unwrap, that looks terrible. Maybe a smart project. That looks better. It's a very unimportant part, so it just therefore a bit more cosmetic detail, so I'm not going to phase with it too much. That is more than sufficient UVs. Then this one over here, I think what we can do is we're just going to mark a seam on its bottom piece here, mark a seam on its side piece, and then mark a seam over there. And if we unwrap this, just a normal unwrap, that looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with that, but now also we will probably never see that part over there, so that is something that we can actually delete. So we'll delete that, and we'll still keep our UVs nice and tidy. I'm going to delete this top one again, because now that we've unwrapped the UVs for this one, and they're basically going to share the same UV space, I can just select it, Shift D, duplicate it, and then move it all the way up here where I require it to be. Alright, so that's everything UV unwrap properly. So the way that we did this now is we just wanted to test to make sure that everything actually does UV unwrap properly. So how we are going to actually go through the whole process is just in object mode. I'm going to select every item. Alright, let's see, every item, there we go. And I'm going to hit Ctrl J to join them. Let's just see, okay, everything is selected. Select all of them at once and then hit unwrap. Okay, so now you're going to see that we have a lot of overlapping UVs, which we don't want. I think the main culprit is actually this one. So I'm going to scale this one down. I'm just going to look again. Okay, that solved a lot of issues. Alright, so let's just see where all the space is. There is the cylinder and the cylinder's other areas. Okay, so essentially what we did is we now redid this one. We can duplicate it off again, but I don't think I'm going to. Well, let's just do it because I don't want to mess around with the UV space. I'm just going to delete all of those. Select this one again, and then Shift D to duplicate, and then just put it where we want it to be. There we go. Okay, so except for that one, everything else should be okay. So we can actually take these now, and I'm going to move them up here. Grab it, and then the same with this one here. And then these ones over here. I think I'm also going to put them. There we go. Alright, let me just try and reselect that. Didn't realize I had the other one still selected. There we go. And I'm just going to move this so that it kind of covers the same area as what those two. So the little lever that we created and the two bolts that we have over there cover the same space. This one is the top one over here. I don't like it being this close, so I'm just going to like move them away just slightly. It's not a lot. Maybe actually just rotate it a bit. I'm going to look at this one as well. I'm going to see again. Don't feel too comfortable with them being that close, so just move them around a bit. And then see this one. Those are the two cushions. I actually want them fairly close to one another, so I'm going to put them like this. And then this one, I think these ones we can move to the center over here. Then the last one we check on is this part over here. It's another small part you probably will not see. Alright, so let's see what that looks like now. Okay, I'm not too sure what that circle is, but I'm going to move it all the way there. And these ones, I'm going to move it up to about there, and I'm just slightly going to scale it smaller. Okay, again, have the circle selected. I don't want the circle selected. Scale this smaller. I'm going to put that one over there. And then these ones, I'll link it. Scale it smaller. Alright, so you just want to get the general idea that these are cushions, that is the middle piece. And we actually have some UV space, so we can actually, if we pad this a little bit better, we can probably increase the size. But for our purposes, this is actually perfect, so I'm not going to fiddle around with it too much. The only thing that I want to do now is I just want to duplicate this piece and this piece over here so that we can actually get it to the other side. So I'm just going to select, and let's just see. Okay, it is being split by the seams at the current moment. Let's just select linked. And let's see, okay, I think I have everything selected. So we're going to hit Shift D and just move it around about there. And I'm going to scale it on the x-axis by -1. And then you'll see, there we go. Then I'm just going to position it properly. So make sure where it is over there. Okay, that seems to be the right spot. We're just going to have to invert its normal, so Control N. So I see this one over here. And I think the only problem is that okay. So the problem was with that singular circle is we didn't duplicate like our whole area over here when we did it before. So one last time. It's like the smallest piece on this is actually giving the biggest hassles. That's normally the case. So yeah. Okay. And then Shift D, scale on the x-axis -1, drag it all the way off to there. I think that one is still over there. I don't want that. There we go. And then just drag this in. There we go. And last but not least, we need to invert its normals. There we go. So that is our chair completely UV unwrapped, if I'm not mistaken. Everything here is done, everything there. And as far as I can tell, we did this piece over here at the bottom as well. So that is our chair done. What I am just going to do now, or well, let's leave it for the next video. We are going to assign materials to it, and then we're going to get a texture which we're going to use for the lever piece over here, and then we're going to finalize this model and import it into Unreal Engine 4. So that brings the end of this part of the tutorial. If you liked it, you can leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike. Please subscribe, and I will see all of you in the next video.